Hello everyone, welcome along to Mobile Rolling, a very big episode here today. We're joined by the chairman of the board at Harness Racing South Australia, George Fiacchi, and we've listened to your questions you've sent through on mobilerolling.net, and today we're going to be asking George those questions. Just before we get started, a very big thank you to House of Chow for being on board again today as the location for the filming of today's interview. House of Chow are still serving takeaway food throughout this COVID-19 crisis, so make sure you give the team on Hutt Street a visit, one of South Australia's best Chinese restaurants here at House of Chow. As I said, still serving takeaway food during these tough times. George, welcome. How are you?
Thank you, Lachie. I'm very well, thank you.
Great to have you on today. Of course, we've asked the viewers to send through their questions, and you've sent through a ton of questions, a lot in long length. Remember that these are the viewers' questions, not mine, so all of these are from the viewers' mouth. So,
Are you sure about that, Lachie?
I'm 100% sure, mate. So we'll get started. The first one revolves around the national rating system that, of course, was brought in the middle stages of last year. Now, we have two options with the national rating system. It's either make a few small changes to the rating system to suit our code, or devise the rating system completely and program to suit SA harness racing participants' needs. Now, what is the board's intention with the rating system going forward?
Well, good question, Lachie. And thank you for bringing that one up first up. Fantastic. So get me thinking straight away. So look, we did a survey some time ago, and this was one of the top agenda items, was the rating system, the handicapping system, and we get it. We understand it doesn't work perfectly for South Australia, mainly because our size of our fields and our population of our horses are a lot smaller than what they are in the eastern states in particular. So we do need to modify it. There has been some twinkling going on. It's not ideal, and I don't think it'll ever be ideal, because what I noticed from those surveys is people have their own agendas, and the ones who really complain are the ones that have a vested interest. So we can't design any rating system to suit a specific person, but we can do it for the industry. And I think South Australia needs a specific one, but we have to be in line with what happens nationally. I'm totally in favour of that. The good news is that what's happening at the moment is in racing is the short price favourites are not winning every race, which is great. That's the reason you have a rating system in place, so that every horse has an opportunity. The punters can all potentially have a win, and if favourites win all the time, people get bored, get turned off, and they don't watch the races. So from where I sit, to answer that question, yes, we understand it's on the agenda and we need to fix it up. We do have committees that will look at something like that, specific committees that look at the racing and in particular the handicapping stuff, which is, again, we understand it's a major issue.
Yeah, as you mentioned, like, the old system has its flaws as well, obviously. And the other thing is, the one thing I have really noticed, as you said, is odds on favourites. There's only we're lucky to be one or two a meeting now, when before you get up to about 4 or 5 sometimes a race meeting. So it's really good to see a more even setting for horses to racing, and I think yes, the system does have its problem for younger horses and so forth, but that's things that obviously we'll adapt with in the future, and it's good to see there's not as many odds-on favourites as what we've seen in previous years. Our next question is more based around stake money. Of course, one of the main things people bring up in the industry is stake money levels. How do you see stake money going up long term over the next couple of years?
Well, I had a magic wand here somewhere. So look, we all wish we could bring in more stake money. In any business, you have to live within your means, and our income is derived purely from wagering and the government return on the consumption tax. That's our wagering, that's our income basically. So we can't live beyond those means. We'd love to be able to say, here's a $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 race every week. We can't do that. Otherwise, we'd just be broke. So you've got to live within our means. So what we'll be doing to help that and to stop that, we understand it is low, and it's very low, and some people can't survive. So what we'll be doing is we're trying to encourage the horse population, the breeders, the owners. We're trying to encourage them to develop and get bigger, so that once the population grows and the participants grow, the industry grows, and so too does our revenue. Will come through the other way. So it's a step-by-step process. We will be talking to the government about increase in consumption tax, because that's really on the agenda from where we sit from a board level, because at the moment wagering is way too low from where we're sitting.
One question I'm going to add, and I'm surprised this wasn't asked, is one thing I heard you mention in a previous interview is the amount of stake money that we give interstate horses when they come over and racing our feature races. You don't really like that, and for obvious reasons, because we're sending so much of our stake money interstate. What's your plans regarding that for the future?
Well, look, as I discussed last time, we really want to make sure the majority of our money stays here in South Australia. Now, it all can't. Now, there's different things that happen. Someone might send a horse over for someone to be trained here in South Australia. He'll get a cut of that, and the prize winning money, the majority will go interstate. We can't control that. But at least that horse is here in South Australia for a period of time. But what we're looking to do, we put some limits. We don't want to see horses come in to South Australia, raid our big races and take off the week after. That's the thing we're totally opposed to.
Yeah.
Yes, people say, oh, you miss out on seeing the great horses. They're actually not coming.
Yeah.
They're not coming here. Now, if they were coming here, yes, we'd worry about it. But at the moment, I don't see them coming through. So ours is very much a South Australian. We're working on our racing program at the moment. Very much a South Australian base. We want to put in something like a final series. So the horses will compete over a period of time, and there'll be like a grand final scenario. So that'll be the feature of South Australian racing. We'll have this big event, big carnival at the end, saying the best 2-year-old, the best 3-year-old, the best whatever there is, and we'll be crowning them the champions of South Australia. So it'll be like an AFL grand final day, basically, to bring that into footy terms. That's what we're looking to create here. We're doing the work on that at the moment. So hopefully that'll be released in the next couple of months, and you'll be able to see what that looks like for next racing calendar.
Sounds fantastic. One of the questions sent through was you've been with Harness Racing SA for nearly 6 months now. Do you really have a roadmap to resolve all the knowing issues with Harness Racing SA, and with an expected timeline when we could start to see changes made for the better of the industry?
Yes, good question. Yes. Look, we do have a roadmap. Obviously, what we're doing at the moment, we're gathering all the information. The last thing we want to do as a board is to walk in and say, we're going to do this, and this, and realise we can't actually do that. So we are in fact-finding mode. I'm not sure if you've realised, but we've been in a bit of a mid-world crisis with the COVID pandemic spreading everywhere. So it's affected us. So it's taken our radar off of the planning onto actually racing itself. And can I just say, it's actually been a real treat to see what's happened since the COVID's come in, for harness racing in particular. From HRSA's perspective, we shut everyone else out. We're running racing at the moment, and we've seen such an increase in participation. We've put in an additional race. We've got our resources. We've cut back our resources, but they've been able to bring in another race without implementing any more costs, incurring any more costs, should I say. So we're sitting at the moment. I'm actually thinking we're sitting in a really good spot. We've seen what the future looks like of harness racing, and the future looks like Harness Racing South Australia will run the racing side. That's what we want to do. That's what we're good at, and that's what we should be doing. And that's really what's come to a fore. The second part of it is there's no use trying to track people to the track. That's old school stuff. The new is getting to online participation. Now, if they're going online, they're betting online, they're moving away from the tab in particular, betting there because they can't at the moment. They're going to the corporates. It's actually a lot better money for us as an industry to be getting that money from the corporates. And we're seeing that as a real positive. Now, look, the other night, I know, I can't quote you exact numbers, but there was in a few races, there was over 100,000 bets taken in turnover, the bets in the one race. And I'm going, wow, that's something we haven't seen on a Tuesday night in particular. So it's growing momentum.
One thing I was going to ask you about, is another one I'm adding in. I must say I've been very impressed with how Tuesday nights have run during this period. Tuesday night means was something we did back in 2011, 2012, and that kind of phased out. And we've brought them back to this COVID-19 period, of course, because we're having limited field sizes and only 7 races a meeting. So that gives us the space to run 3 meetings. Do you see Tuesday nights as a possible avenue to go down in the future, even without this coronavirus pandemic?
I hope so. Yes, we want to run as much as we can. The problem is the horse population. There's only so many horses, and they're starting to get fatigued if they keep racing on a regular basis like they are at the moment. So fingers crossed, we have access to a few more horses and we can keep it going. Because from where we're sitting, it's actually ideal. It's perfect. Exactly. And we've got Sky Racing 1 as well, which is ideal. So we continue that. It's really good. Now, I need to go back to your previous question about the planning, because I did jump on. Look, I've got some. Here's our basic structure. What we're looking for. So what we've done as a board, we've had our own planning days. We've had our discussions. We've gone to major participants. We've gone to the industry. We asked them, okay, what is it that you want from us as an industry? So our objectives. Now, this is what we've gathered over the last month or so, and we've got to have it ratified by the board. But here's what it starts to look like. The first thing we want to do as objective is to reward the harness racing industry for their loyalty and commitment. Now, we know it's been hard, and we know it's been frustrating. So, we want to reward those who've stayed loyal, and by doing things like setting up a South Australian owned racing, keeping the money in industry, increasing stake money where we can, looking for ways of helping them out. We want to provide strong leadership and direction as a governing body. Now, we haven't been able to act as a governing body because of our constitution, but we want to make sure we can change that, because we want to say, this is where we're going, come along for the ride. If you divert off that path, well, you're no longer going to be part of this industry. This is where we need to go. We need to be tough, because we're at the bottom of the barrel. And one of the survey questions, I asked someone, I said, what's going well? They said nothing. I said, what needs work? Everything. I said, that sort of tells you where the industry's at the moment. The other part is we want to promote, grow, and protect the sport of harness racing. We want to create a new entity that transforms harness racing into contemporary sporting organisation. We've got to stop thinking old school, bring the good stuff, and let's think new school now. Let's start to look at what the future looks like. And that's what COVID did for us. Gave us an opportunity to see what's happening in the future. We want to build a sustainable model for future generations to enjoy. We can't live beyond our means. We need to be cost effective. It doesn't mean we can be ridiculous in spending money. We don't have a pot of money just sitting there for us to allocate out. We want to be the market leaders in welfare for horses and participants, in particular, because we're seeing the industry needs a lot of help. And especially a lot of the participants are suffering through mental health, but we need to make sure the horses' welfare are looked after as well. So we want to be the market leaders in that. We want to establish a racing calendar that features a local championship title, that I spoke about earlier. That's something I'm really excited about. Making a finals type of grand final event, having a massive event at Globe Derby Park would be outstanding. And everyone in Adelaide involved. And what we want to do is be an active partner in the racing industry locally and nationally. That's important to get all the racing codes together. And it hasn't happened. There's been a bit of... they've fallen apart. So we need to bring that back together, because it's important we work together. Because if we operate as separate entities, we're going nowhere.
Exactly right. One thing that you mentioned in that, one thing our sport likes to do is look to the past a lot. And I think a key thing for our sport going forward is to really just focus on the future instead of looking at the Halicon days and when it was at its peak. Of course, we can't go back to those days. We have to adjust to the current climate and the current world. And I think that's a very important point there, to really just look to the future. Yeah,
exactly. And we've got to leave it in a good condition for other generations to enjoy, because otherwise it won't be around if it keeps going the way it's going.
Exactly right. Now, of course, one of the questions we got sent through revolves around the South Australian Harness Racing Club. Of course, there's been a lot of differences between Harness Racing SA and Globe Derby over the last couple of years. Can you see the government stepping in to help fix the problem in the future?
Have you noticed these fish in the background?
Nice fish.
Yeah, that's nice. Sorry, I missed that question. No, look, in seriousness, yes, we need to work on that relationship. We certainly have, and we've tried. But I think it's internally now they need to sort themselves out. HRSA can only do so much. We're here to help, and if you want some help, come and ask us. But don't come out holding your hand out for money, because we don't have it.
And just one more question before we get into part two a little bit later on. Is there any positive news you can give our participants around that whole scenario with Globe Derby at the moment?
Positive news. Look, I think it's starting to get somewhere. We've had a lot of bad publicity, but I think there's internally they're trying to work themselves out. As a committee. And you've all seen the reports of what's been happening. I'm not going to elaborate on any of that, because where I sit, I'm just going, just hurry up and clean up your own act, so that we as a harness racing industry go forward.
Well, that's part one in the books, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back with part two with George Fiacchi. Still plenty of questions to get through, and I'm sure you're looking forward to seeing part two uploaded shortly. Thank you for joining us for part one. Again, a big thank you to House of Chow Restaurant for being the setting for today's filming, and a big thank you to George Fiacchi, and we look forward to part two.